I got a card from UUA President Susan Frederick Gray. The other day, she sent a card out to ministers and their spouses this week, which was really nice. And I wanted to share a little bit of that for our opening words this morning. Dear ones, what times we continue to live through. We are in a churn of change. Systems and practices we've relied on are breaking down. And what is needed is still beginning to be imagined, not yet here. When we are worn down and worn out, sometimes we still push ourselves knowing the urgency and importance of the challenge ahead. But to bring forth creativity, energy, and compassion, we need to nurture ourselves, and we need to take care of ourselves.
I took my love and I took it down. I climbed a mountain and I turned around. And I saw my reflection in the snow-covered hills till the landslide brought me down. Oh, mirror in the sky, what is love? Can the child within my heart rise above? Can I sail through the changing ocean tide? Can I handle the seasons of my life? Well, I've been afraid of changing 'cause I built my life around you. But time makes you bolder, even children get older, and I'm getting older too. Well, I've been afraid of changing 'cause I've built my life around you. But time makes you bolder, even children get older, and I'm getting older too. Oh, I'm getting older too. Oh, take my love, take it down. Oh, climb a mountain, then you turn around. And if you see my reflection in the snow-covered hills, well, the landslide will bring it down. And if you see my reflection in the snow-covered hills, well, the landslide will bring you down. Oh, the landslide will bring it down.
Well, thanks, Nicole and Tom. It's one of my favorite songs. Good morning. Welcome to Minnesota Valley Unitarian Universalist Fellowship. My name's Laura. I'm the minister here. We come to this day to celebrate the beauty of the earth and to be in community. We acknowledge that we live, work, and play on lands that are also the ancestral, contemporary, and spiritual home to the Dakota and Anishinaabe peoples. This congregation comforts us when we know loss and celebrates our best dreams. This is a place of togetherness. We bring our differences. Together, we offer a fuller truth than any one point of view. This is a place to listen thoughtfully to one another. We welcome people of all sexual orientations and gender identities and strive for this to be a safe place for them, knowing that we may make mistakes along the way and learn to do better. This is a place for learning and acceptance. In the spirit of community that we create, I'm going to invite you to greet one another. I don't know if we've done that recently, because I haven't been here too recently. Folks on Zoom, you can use your cameras or the chat to say hello to each other. Folks on YouTube, leave a comment for us. And folks here in the room, take a minute or two to greet one another in a way that is comfortable for you, bearing in mind that it is cold/flu /COVID season. So nods are fine, or just a smile, or, a thumbs up if you got a mask on. But take a minute to say hello to one another this morning. Have we done that recently? Yes, a little bit. Okay, I wasn't sure. The community that we create here goes beyond Sunday morning. So I want to bring your attention to a couple other things that might interest you that's happening this week. The Panera Lunch Group is happening on Tuesday. That's at 1 p.m. It's at the Richfield Panera, which is at 78th and Lindale. They used to have, does anybody go to that group? They used to have like a little sign that just says that that's who they are. Do they still have that? Oh, it's 1:30? Oh, well, see, now I'm glad I mentioned this. You'll have your lunch eaten if you show up at 1 by the time anybody else gets there. It's at 1:30. Well, I need to change my little thing up there and in the newsletter and everywhere else. Thank you for that bit of information. Do you still have a little sign that they're putting out that just kind of says, okay. We'll work on that too. Sometimes that's nice for newer folks who might not recognize everybody's faces, but we'll find you a new sign too. All right, Laura, change the time. I'm not going to remember it. Somebody could send me, you have your phone? Email me right now. That would be fantastic. All right. Multiple committee meetings are going on this week, and program council is on Thursday with reps from all the committees. So folks, please be sure to check your calendars to see what's going on, because I do know that there were quite a few committee meetings that I saw on the calendar. Evening Book Club meets on Thursday night. Joyce, who's right here, is the contact person for that. Are you guys meeting in person or online this week? Probably Zoom. Well, you're here this morning. Sure. So that's probably on Zoom. And if you need the Zoom link, you could. Right. Or, some groups are doing like every other. But then it's important to know who the contact person is, so you know whether they're in person. So it's Joyce. If you know her, you can email her. And if you don't know Joyce and you're interested in joining the book club, you could also email Jeannie. And Joyce's email actually is in the November Unison. So Right, so you can check that, and there you'll see a whole list of the books that they're reading. For those of you who haven't checked it out, they usually alternate a fiction with a nonfiction, so it's a real great mix of books. Check that out. Also worth reminding you of 2 current weekly gatherings that are going on. The meditation group meets Wednesday at 3 p.m., correct? Here in the fireside room, so you can check that out. Richard is kind of organizing that group, so check with him if you want more information about what's going on with that. Richard's our amazing tech guy in the back. Everybody, well, Richard's our amazing tech guy in the back. I mean, come on. Can never give too much praise to our tech wizard. And then I also want to alert you to the Itchy Fingers Salon, which is Becky McPeak organizes that group. They meet here on Saturday from 1 to 2:30. You know, if you're a crafter or a quilter or a knitter or a needle worker or a sketcher or whatever, Nicole. The SATB Friends and Family Choir Group starts here on Wednesday at 6:30. So that means people that are members or friends here and or friends that they have from somewhere else who just want to join other singing. To sing for Music Sunday on December 11th. Save the date. I think I had that in the save the date portion of your order of service here. Are there any other announcements? So you beat me to the punch on are there any other announcements? Did I get them all? I think I did. It's a busy week here going on. So we hope that you find ways to engage and deepen your relationship to this community as we continue our service today. I ask you to join in the words for the chalice lighting, which should be up behind me, and they're in your order of service or they're on your screen if you're watching us online. May this flame, a symbol of transformation. Our opening hymn this morning is number 131, Love Will Guide Us.
Their class. Where you go, I will go, beloved children. Where you go, I will go. Where you go, I will go, children. Where you go, I will go. For your people are my people. Your people are mine. Your people are my people. You're divine, my divine.
Set aside a few moments to lift up the joys and sorrows of the congregation. There's several ways we can do this. You can raise your hand and somebody will bring you a microphone. You can come up to the microphone here. You can drop a stone into the little vessel that we have there as a symbol of your joy or sorrow. As you're thinking about what you might want to offer, I do want to lift up that next week is Transgender Awareness Week. That's all week. And so we celebrate that. And then next Sunday, we'll also be recognizing Transgender Day of Remembrance. So who has joys or sorrows to share with the community today?
The former rector of the Episcopal Church we used to go to has been hospitalized for over a week on a ventilator and has many other symptoms following COVID. And so I just lift him up for holding him in our hearts.
These are two joys from Babita Asif. One, Omera wants to share her joy that she auditioned for the play Aladdin at Oak Grove Middle School, and she is cast for Jasmine.
Fantastic.
It'll be fabulous. And number two, Omera's FLL robotics team had their regional tournament yesterday, and they moved on to state. I am so very proud of these kids. They have moved on to state every year since they have been a team for the last 5 years. I am grateful to their mentors. And lastly, Babita says, thank you for all the support I received for my surgery from the congregation.
Hi, my name is Lee, and I just want to say I'm very pleased and joyful that in the last election, so many trans and queer people were elected to various positions in state and federal offices. A joyful
Yes.
thing.
I put some links about that in the Friday email, so check that out if you're not aware, but statewide and nationwide, there was some great progress in that area, so.
I'm Jody. I have a few. Relief after the election in Minnesota personally. So that's a joy for me. Second, thank you to everyone who has served in the armed forces in honor of Veterans Day that we had just the other day. So thank you for your service. And I'm just so happy with the music and the amazingly talented people that we have at our church and who brighten our days, our Sundays and other days. Nicole and Tom, your song this morning was fabulous, and others too. Follow up to
Yeah. I'm just going to repeat it real quick because I don't know if you were Mike, but joy for Gracie's cross country team doing really well at state. Winning at state. There's a difference. There's a difference. we live in a competitive world, winning states. I had a joy with music today as well. When I came in and was getting my stuff ready, the choir was rehearsing a piece that they're going to do in a little bit. And it was the first time that I had heard the choir sing live because I was on sabbatical for 5 months and we weren't doing that yet when I left. And I just want to say that it definitely, I had a moment to myself where it was just like, oh, this is amazing and wonderful and so nice to hear that, to be able to experience that. So that's a joy for me. And on the election side, I just want to lift up that it was probably one of the least swinging midterms that we have had. And I don't know how many years. Usually the trend is that it swings whatever the opposite way is. That's true no matter who is in office. And given the fact that the president has a low approval rate right now, I think we expect it to swing. So I'm just holding on to that. Maybe drastic swings are a shift towards going forward, and that real even split will mean that we're getting some practical work done that everybody can hold on to. So I definitely want to lift that up because I think that says something about us as a nation right now after some big extreme swings that we've been having for, seems like, I don't know, a decade or more. So grateful for that. Does anybody else have any joys or sorrows to share this morning? Any more on Zoom, Tom? No? Then I invite you all to join in our sung response that's on the wall behind me, or print. I don't think it's printed in your order service, but it's probably somewhere else too. So yeah, everybody. Yeah. Thank the universe that it's the centering space. And I'm going to say why, because several people have asked me this morning what it's been like coming back. And the only metaphor I can think of is that I am at a standstill trying to merge into 80-mile-an-hour traffic. Because you are all still doing things. And I'm like, nope. So grateful for a centering space. And maybe you need a little as well. Today, I want to offer a meditation. I have a little piece here that I'm going to read, and then I invite you all into 3 minutes of silence. This is A Prayer for the Desert by Margaret Keep. The journeys of our lives are never fully charted. There come to each of us deserts to cross, barren stretches, where the green edge of the horizon may be our destination, or an oasis on our way, or a mirage that beckons only to leave us lost. When fear grips the heart or despair bows the head, may we bend as heart and head lead us down to touch the ground beneath our feet. May we scoop some sand into our hands and receive what the sand would teach us. It holds the warmth of the sun when the sun has left our sight, as it holds the cool of the night when the stars have faded. Hidden among its grains are tiny seeds at rest and waiting, dormant, yet undefeated. Desert flowers, they endure, moistened by our tears and by the rain, which come to end even the longest drought. They send down roots and they bloom. May we believe in those seeds and in the seeds within us. May we remember in our dry seasons that we too are desert flowers. Amen.
Good morning. I'm Kathleen Coates. I am a member here and I serve on the Board of Trustees. At our most recent board meeting last Wednesday, we talked a lot about agility, growth, and what it means to be a stronger community. I promise that you'll be hearing more about this work in the coming weeks and months, including the amazing work of the Vision 2025 committee. I'm here today to share a little about my own personal experience with adapting to life after the pandemic. And I will share how I'm trying to bring my lessons about agility to my work with this fellowship. My husband and I are both theater artists and educators. Combined, we have about 60 years of experience in performing, directing, and teaching theater and musical theater. We moved to Minnesota from Omaha, Nebraska in 2008 to find more professional opportunities. By age 40, my husband reached his goal of joining the Actors Equity Union and landed his first role at the Guthrie. At the beginning of 2020, he was at the peak of his career. He had just been invited to be a company member at Artistry here in Bloomington, which was a new program that was just starting, which never happened. And they were going to guarantee him 2 shows a year. He had a record-breaking 18 months of performance contracts lined up and was able to relax a little bit from auditioning. This was February of 2020, so I think you know where I'm headed with this story. As the shutdowns began happening in March, every single one of his contracts was canceled. He found himself unemployed. At the same time, my contract as a theater instructor at Normandale College took a huge tailspin, and we found ourselves wondering if we could keep our house. Add this stress to the fear of COVID itself, grief of losing family members and friends to the disease, and isolation in general. Now, even though my husband and I are back to work, our previous theater and teaching careers are unrecognizable. At times, it feels like we're still flailing around in time and space, trying to find pieces of our previous life to hang on to. We find ourselves, like I imagine a lot of us here, needing to find a new solid container to hold us with all of this trauma and help us stir up something new. But we don't have to start over. We can look inside of this container and see that our skills, our relationships, and our passions are still there. So what I'd like to offer you now is a metaphor for this container that can hold us and help us cook up a new plan. Think of that foundation as a cauldron. If we have an image, yes, isn't that beautiful? A cauldron made of cast iron is strong, sturdy, and fireproof. When I think about MVUUF, I think about the container that already exists. The main ingredients, if you will, are already in there. And these include things like the fellowship and its history, longtime members with a shared history and foundational knowledge, new members and friends with great ideas and energy, established committee structure, which I feel like a baby board member, I'm just learning, amazing staff, strong desires for personal and community connections that we all have. So now we need some fresh ingredients in the cauldron. We need new ideas and new plans that get stirred together with the foundation to help make something wonderful. So I have a new image here. Here's some of the new ingredients that we can look forward to. As I say each one, I'd like you to imagine the person in this photo slowly adding each ingredient into the pot and stirring it in. even when that photo goes away from the screen, picture it in your mind's eye, as Shakespeare would say. Into the pot we have a need for desire, reunification, maybe a little reinvention. We have board focus on communication and transparency. We have the Vision 2025 committee and its upcoming recommendations. We have some exciting community events, which Laura started to mention at the beginning. And by the way, if you go to the calendar on the website, I highly recommend just looking at that a lot, because there's a lot of great stuff in there that we may think, oh yeah. So here's some more ingredients for the pot. Spaghetti lunch after the service on December 4th. Caroling for Veep on December 20th. Community night downstairs on January 13th. Potluck after the service on January 2nd. Writing for spiritual exploration every second Thursdays of the month. Men's group and women's group once a month. Even more amazing music from our talented members. This expanded choir we're looking forward to on December 11th. The Itchy Fingers Salon, meditation and book clubs, yoga with Fran. So many ingredients. I'm sure there's others I'm missing, and we just don't have time to list. But the final ingredient I will offer that will help all of these other ingredients gel together, and that we must include, is our collective grief, trauma, sadness, call it what you will. It's the stuff that makes us real people. And without it, we're just separate ingredients swirling around without sticking together. So please continue to bring your whole selves. Bring your energy, your ideas, your passions, your desires, and your hunger. I'm so excited to be here with you all. Thank you.
An addendum, joy, is that we now have somebody here who says amen. So just want to recognize that and invite any of the rest of you into that space should you feel you need to go there. Hallelujah, hand raise, we'll take whatever you got. All right, bring it on. Kathleen and I met the other day to talk about the service, and another metaphor that's more familiar to you all that I'm going to run you through here. So you clasp your fingers together like this with your fingers down below, right? Up high, a little up higher so everybody can see. All right, and then kind of push the lower part together. Right, so here's the church. Here's the steeple, put your fingers up and you open it up. And you see all the people. And while you still have your hands out, I invite you to grab your phone or your wallet, and I invite the ushers to please come forward to take today's offering. Thank you.
I will love you more than me and more than yesterday. If you can but prove to me you are the new day. Send the sun in time for dawn. Let the birds all hail the
Before the new day. One more day when time is running out for everyone. Like a breath I knew would come, I reach for a new day. Hope is my philosophy, just needs days in which to be. Love of life means hope for me, born on a new day. You are the new day.
I'm going to go back to a metaphor that I've used before, a little more deeply, though. I'm going to start with reading from Leon Vanderpool's book, A Shift in Being. Metamorphosis for a caterpillar is a process of death and emergence, not morphing. Wrapped in its cocoon, its body decays and disintegrates into a blob of primordial goo. Those of you that know me know that I've talked about goo before. A nutrient-rich stew of death cells mixed with some bits and pieces of the caterpillar's innards. Then one day, something remarkable happens. In the midst of the puddle of decaying ooze, a new cell pops up, ping. And these cells have been called imaginal cells, because they're imagining what is possible. The immune system of the dying caterpillar, taking the imaginal cell to be some sort of enemy form, attacks and kills it. Another imaginal cell pops up, ping, and the immune system again trounces it. Soon a number of imaginal cells pop up, ping, 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 ping. And the immune system, although it's beginning to fail from the stress of death, continues to fight. In time, however, the imaginal cells pop up faster and in greater numbers than the failing immune system can kill them off. And then, because the imaginal cells are encoded with a program to create a butterfly, they start joining together to form cell clusters, clusters of a wing, antenna cells, digestive tract cells, and others take form. The cells clusters eventually come together and form, and the transformation is complete, and the butterfly emerges all as a new entity, all together, all those cells. So we've had some metamorphosis here at the fellowship. Those of you who have been here a long time know this. And the latest one began in March of 2020, as did many other people's metamorphosis in the world. Now, to be fair, I can't just call this just like a regular metamorphosis. No, this was like capital M, capital E, capital T, capital A metamorphosis, right? The whole world had cause to cocoon, shutting off from friends and loved ones, from our livelihoods, from nearly every aspect of our life as we had known it on the daily basis. We went into a cocoon. We disintegrated into goo. Right, we've talked about this before, being in the goo. I mean, sometimes we have this personally in our lives. We go into that when conditions warrant so much change from us: death, divorce, a big move, empty nest. You know, we feel that. We feel dissolved. Sometimes we're not sure who we are anymore. It's really hard to get a grip on goo. Yes, it is. It just slips right through your fingers, right? In that stage, we have no structural form. There's nothing to hold us up that we might see clearly. There's no legs or feathers, right? We've got no structure to help us flee or explore. Essentially, we're kind of a mess. A puddle of goo, of course, is susceptible to washing away and to drying up in the obvious ways that goo would be susceptible to washing away or drying up. I think it goes without saying. But as with the caterpillar, we had something to nourish and protect us during the goo phase. We had this, right, cocoon. Now, I don't mean the structure of the building. I mean, we had this congregation, you know, the people, to hold us. We were held here in this safe community, or perhaps you're newer here to this community, but you were held in the communities that held you during that time. Those were our cocoons, because the whole world was basically put into these cocoons. And there, in that space, out in the world, the imaginal cells began to come alive, right? In our huge worldly collective cocoon, if you will. It was slow at first, right? And one imaginal cell yelled, "Hey, everyone, don't touch your face." Guess what? That one got eaten up by the immune system. The immune system said, no, we're not going to just not touch our faces. Do you all remember that? Talking like March, April 2020, don't touch your face. It happened. We were there. Another imaginal cell said, buy all the toilet paper now. And chaos ensued. And a investment market like nobody could have ever imagined happened, probably. Right? And eventually that one also got reabsorbed back into the goo. Stronger cells emerged. In our cocoon and in many other gooey places, a cell named Zoom came into being. Wow. What a great cell, what a great imaginary, actually it was there beforehand, but what a great imaginary cell that was there to help us through. Zoom's proven to be foundational, reinventing the very ways that we can be together, changing how we are in the world. And the change goes on and on and on. And a note on that Zoom, I just want to lift up, it's still, we're not out of that part yet, right? Like we're trying to do all these meetings in a hybrid fashion, and we're a little klutzy going through it. It's okay. Now, you know, and I know, we all know deep in our bones that change is a constant force in nature, right? Perhaps even the very essence of nature is just that, change and becoming, right? That's all there is. Each season is change, each fallen leaf or blossoming flower, each breath is change. With every heartbeat, we exist in a form that is changed than we were a heartbeat ago. Change, it's the very stuff we're made of, and it's what keeps us alive. Still, because we can hold multiple truths at one time, right? We've talked about this. The goo is a really hard place to be. It's hard to be uncertain of what's next. It's hard to imagine that we somehow have in that pile, in that puddle of goo, a way to fly. Now, I would like to tell you that in terms of our congregational life here, we are out of the goo, but no, I don't think we are. I do think, however, that we have more of those imaginal cells being created. We've turned a corner. We're putting out more of the cells that will shape us in the future in terms of what we will look like and how we're going to be in the world going forward. So what I want to do now is I'd like to pause and spend a few minutes there together. Now, in your order of service, and I don't know if Richard made a slide to put them up on the line, up. Did you get a slide? Oh, there we go. You'll see a couple of questions. And what I want to invite you to do is turn to a neighbor or two, work in groups of 2 or 3 or 4, but you only have a few minutes, so don't make it a big group. And I want you to talk with one another about these questions. What ways do you imagine for MVUUF's identity going forward? And how will you help? Right? These are people inside. We need the people. How will you help to nurture those things that we imagine together? So talk about it for a few minutes, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about it together. I'll give you 3 minutes. All right, folks. Can the ushers grab the mics again? All right, so and folks on Zoom and YouTube, I invite you to share in the chat or the comment area ideas that you have. I want to turn our attentions back to the group now. So the larger group, that is. So raise your hand if you have an idea that you think is worth. I don't want to say if it's worth sharing. They're all worth sharing. If you have an idea that you want to share, either about something to do or ways that maybe you're already doing something and you need more of the people to help. Either way, let us know. Right back here. I don't know who you are, maybe. Oh, hi, Lisa.
Um,
Oh, I've met you before.
I came to the women's retreat here
Yeah.
right before you left on your sabbatical.
Right.
I came back.
Nice to
catch
see
up
you
with
again.
I thought that was wonderful. It was really a neat way to meet people, interact, to do something fun outside of the Sunday morning box.
Right. So the
Oh,
women.
and, can I add one other
Yeah.
thing that we talked about was focusing on celebrating
Right.
the good.
We've gotten a lot of that joy and celebrating. And she mentioned the women's retreat, which was wonderful last year. And I think we were planning on doing that sometime again this year. So check that out. And I also want to mention, again, I can't say how much this metaphor is coming up. That happened because of a group of leaders here coming together to make it happen. So these are, when we say, oh, that's a wonderful idea. How does it happen? It happens when a small group of you decide that you want to do something like that and get the support that you need from staff or whoever to make it happen. Who else has an idea? Oh, McGirt, wait, you got to wait for a microphone because otherwise the folks on Zoom and with hearing assisted devices can't hear you.
Hello, my name is McGirt, and I just want to shake hands with everybody, and thank the voters. Thank you for voting, and I'm going to do it for at least a week because I think that we have to thank each other and our neighbors. It all came together for a good reason. We voted, and we're powerful, and we have to express that to each other and be just joyful this week. Oh my gosh.
Right.
I went to bed on Wednesday. I couldn't get up. I was so worried about what was going to happen, and look what happened. Oh,
Again, more celebration and more gratitude I'm hearing. Leslie.
So one of the things I look for in a community like this is an outlet to do some social action in the community. Not just a person being active in the church, but opportunities for us to be active in the church. So I would love to see that happen. I'm very happy that we're doing the potlucks because I think anything that promotes our community togetherness, the women's retreat, and any of the other things that you participate in, I think are extremely important to us in finding a home here.
Right.
And outside speakers.
Outside speak. Oh, so I'm going to try and respond as best as I can to these with what's helpful from my point of view on them. Okay. So, as far as social action goes, the committee right now is in sabbatical, if you will, or hiatus. There's not a leader or a group of leaders. I was holding it for a while, but then it becomes just my agenda, which is not the best thing. And it's also very tiring for me to do that. So we need people in there. Or it could be projects that you want to work on that you need the support of the congregation, which we have a history of doing. Talk to Nan Corliss about that. She'll tell you about projects that this congregation worked on years ago that people came together on. So sometimes it doesn't have to be like the overseeing committee. It can be a particular project. And there are areas that we might think about right now to do that. Reproductive justice. P.S. I'll be at the whole women's clinic tomorrow here in Bloomington to do the clergy, interfaith clergy are gathering there to do kind of blessing and gratitude service for them. That's a clinic here in Bloomington that performs abortion. So it's important that we do those kinds of things, but it's important that more people than just me do those things. Like I'm kind of the recognition for us as a community whole, but it's important that you're doing those things. And so we have to figure out what that looks like now for us. And so any ideas that you have or wanting to come together that you have, please contact me and we'll, especially if there's one or two of you that are already you're forming a small group and you just need support, please let us know. Outside speakers. We love to have an outside speaker once a month. And when it's just on me to get that, I know sometimes you all are like, Laura, you just get ministers. That's who I know. I mean, it's a lot to go looking for outside speakers, but if I have all of you, again, the people to help me, you are all in different groups, you know, Leslie's in her AAUW group, and maybe some of the other of you are in other community groups and you see great speakers. I haven't been in that group and seen that great speaker and know to invite them here. But if you come to me and tell me who they are, I can look them up and I can certainly invite them here. And that works great when I do it because I know how to get them paid and do all of the connecting. It's just really hard for me to be spending all my time, you know, with the whole world in front of me to figure out where to go to look for speakers. So please, if you have any ideas, if you've seen a great speaker who would, because we do have a slot for speakers once a month, please bring them to me, right? Or if you want to speak, even if you've got something, bring it to me. Also, we've got men and women's group that have great speakers that are a little better fitted to those groups than they might be for a Sunday morning. So check those out because those are really the more learning intellectual growth spaces as well as the book club. So definitely check those things out. What was the other thing you said? Oh, the potlucks and stuff. I want to let you know that starting January, because holidays, we will have once a month a community night that somebody will be providing food for. The first one in January, staff is going to do the food. At the program council meeting, we'll be asking committees and we'll also be asking other groups, Itchy Fingers, whoever it is, you know, the choir, to sponsor one of these nights and have that group be responsible for figuring out what the food's going to be that night and the cleanup and the setup. Because again, it's really overwhelming on staff if we have to do that along with everything else. And this should be something that we're all doing together, right? So, and it would work great if we were working with groups or committees because they already have a small group of people together. So that's coming. And then we'll have a potluck on the last Sunday of the month after the service. So we're looking for ways for people, because what's important now is reconnecting. But Tom also pointed out to me before the service that that doesn't mean that we're not doing social justice. We have to be doing both things, right? We have to, it's the breathe and push element. I talked about that last week. Breathe, we take care of ourselves, we find room for joy and laughter and sharing and feeling like we have community. Push, we find speakers that inspire us. We find ways to do the social justice work that is important to us. All right, I'm going to do one more question or else I'm going to run too long. Does any, or comment back here?
Hi, I'm Maribeth Collins, and we were just talking with these two lovely ladies here in front of us. Jim and I came this summer particularly and really enjoyed the discussion groups that met in the parking lot. And I hope that we can continue that kind of a scenario because it really involved everybody. And I like to see everybody included. And may I? This is a mom and her daughter, and they came today because this young lady is a student at Hamlin University. And she came as part of an exploration in one of her classes to examine different cultures and different ideologies. So I thought that was really cool, so that we shouldn't leave out universities. We should include them in our
Outreach.
Yeah, thank
Yes.
you.
And that's another big area that we need to work on. NVUUF has a bit of a, you know, there's this old kind of country club history that was here, maybe a little insular. We need to figure out a way to do outreach in this new world, which is challenging because it's hybrid, right? You can't just advertise in the Sun Current because that doesn't get the readership that it used to, but you can't just advertise on Facebook because then you're not getting a lot of the younger people because they're not there anymore, as the boomers and the Xers pretty much use it, but the millennials, I think they use Insta. Graham, and we do have an Instagram page. I don't know if there's anything on it, but we do have one. And we're not going to talk about Twitter. So I told Jeannie to just take that icon down. Nobody here uses it for that anyway. I'm like, just take it off for now. But those are things we need to figure out too. So if you have ideas around that, how we do outreach, those are things that we need to work on too. And some of that is maybe we were just starting before the pandemic to have those Zenith Avenue coffee hours where we were inviting some folks in and doing like a little public thing, or we had the Delphia choir or the Delphia cellos, those kinds of things that we can invite outside guests to, so we're always looking for those things too. So if you know of any of those things that we can bring here that invite others, and usually we charge admission so that we can pay those folks, because we don't have a budget for any of that, but we have the space, so let's use it. So keep those ideas going, keep being imaginary cells, cluster with one another as imaginary cells so that we can survive, and keep going back to this thing, right? We cluster together and then we get ideas that really work. As far as the talking goes, I included that today because I had some feedback that people like that. And so I'm gonna try in the services I kind of wanted a little bit of structure though. So I'm going to try to put questions that I think pertain to that topic that we can engage in so that it has a little bit of a container. Sometimes it goes all otherwise, and I'm not always prepared for that. So, and I want to thank you all for engaging in the conversation, and again, invite you to continue it. Nicole, are you on the TikTok? So we need an MVUF TikTok dance going viral. Definitely will raise our profile in the community. That's the next. I'm serious. It would. That's all we need. I want to close today with a blessing for a new beginning. This is from John O'Donohue. And out of way places of the heart where your thoughts never think to wander, this beginning has been quietly forming, waiting until you were ready to emerge. For a long time, it has watched your desire, feeling the emptiness grow inside you, noticing how you willed yourself on, still unable to leave what you had outgrown. It watched you play with the seduction of safety and the gray promises that sameness whispered, heard the waves of turmoil rise and relent, wondered, would you always live like this? Then the delight when your courage kindled and out you stepped onto new ground, your eyes young again with energy and dream, a path of plenitude opening before you. Though your destination is not clear, you can trust the promise of this opening. Unfurl yourself into the grace of beginning that is one of your life's desires. Awaken your spirit to adventure. Hold nothing back. Learn to find ease in risk. Soon you will be home in a new rhythm, for your soul senses the world that awaits you. Blessed be and amen.
This song was done at this congregation last time in 2008. And it was done by our interim minister, Don Rollins, who on the very first day somebody stole my pick. But it's going to take a little while. On the very first day he was here, he led us in it. He had a marvelous Gibson slope-shouldered guitar, and He led the song, and if you remember, 2008 was one of those difficult times. And it was a time of transition. So I'll improvise without my pick. You have to participate in this one. It's a song that has another metaphor for us. You sing the chorus. It's Somos el barco, somos el mar. Yo navego en ti, tú navegas en mí. We are the boat, we are the sea. I sail in you, you sail in me. Goes like this. Somos el barco, somos el mar. Yo navego en ti, tú navegas en mí. We are the boat, we are the sea. I sail in you, you sail in me. Very good. The stream sings it to the river sings it to the sea sings it to the boat that carries you and me. Somos el barco, somos el mar. Yo navego en ti, tú navegas en mí. We are the boat, we are the sea. I sail in you, you sail in me. You can sing harmony on that too, you know. The boat we are sailing in was built by many hands. The sea we are sailing on touches every sand. The voyage has been long and hard, and yet we're sailing still, with a song to help us pull together, if we only will. Sing with a smile, our boat. We are the sea. I'm making to you, me. Somos el barco. I goofed up. Somos el mar. Yo navego en ti, tú navegas en mí. We are the boat. So with our hopes, we raise the sails to face the wind once more. And with our hearts, we chart the course never sailed before. Somos el barco, somos el mar. Yo navego en ti, tú navegas en mí. We are the boat, we are the sea. I sail in you, you sail in me. Chorus one last time. Somos el barco, somos el mar. Yo navego and listen to yourselves sing. Hey, he goes, oh, I missed that. We are the boat, we are the sea. I sail in you, you sail in
When I was reading the Vision 2025 report, there was something in there from a book they read about how great it is when the minister stands out there and like people can say hello, that saying hello to people, I think somebody mentioned that earlier, saying hello to people, Lisa said that, didn't you? Is a great thing. You guys are not good at this. I have tried to like say that I would be standing out there and you can greet me on your way out the door or downstairs for refreshments. And y'all kind of scatterbomb. And those of you that do come to greet me, kind of act like you're the only ones coming to greet me and that there might not be 2 or 3 other people standing behind you. This is because you're a fellowship and you have a fellowship history. So maybe it wasn't ever really a thing that caught on here. But it was saying that maybe that's an important thing to help. And I don't know if Kathleen will join me. It's often nice to have whoever the worship associate is or participants in the service. But I'm saying Kathleen and I would love to be over here by that table, right by the stairs to greet you on your way out. I'm not saying you can't stay in here and talk to other people for a while if that's your thing. Like you don't have to go through that line, but I invite you to come through and say hello to us. And if you do that, I invite you to make it brief. And honestly, I just want to remind you all that Sunday morning is not the time to tell me everything you want unless you're going to email me like Jody did earlier. She knows, send Laura an email. She's not going to remember anything on Sunday morning. So like, it's not the time to give me all your greatest ideas or the speaker that you just thought of. Like you should be just texting that to me as you're standing to say, hi, Laura, it's good to see you. I hope you have a good day. Go Vikings. Like let's just do that. Can we do some of that? Maybe. Because I would love, like, I haven't seen some of you and I don't even know some of you. So I would love to have a chance to say hello. Thank you so much. So we'll try that. We'll see if that's what is it, an imaginal cell that survives or not. But we'll give it a try. Will you please all join me in the words for extinguishing our chalice? We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth. The warmth of